Willkommen zum neuen Videoformat der Lauten Europäer. Heute geht es um ein ganz aktuelles Thema, nämlich die aktuelle Situation in Italien. Ihr habt vielleicht gehört, dass es Neuwahlen geben soll. Unser Experte wird uns einschätzen, wie die Lage gerade ist in Italien, welche Optionen es gibt, wie die Parteien zueinander stehen und was er für die Europapolitik in Zukunft erwartet. Das ganze Interview wird auf Englisch sein. So, Mr. Nicolini, maybe we begin with introducing yourself. So, what is your background? Where do you came from, and why are you maybe an expert on Italian politics?
Thanks, Alexander. I am Matteo Nicolini. I'm Associate Professor of Comparative Public Law in Italy in the University of Verona. And my background is mainly law, and partly constitutional law, and partly I'm a comparative lawyer. And the relevance of the political parties is quite apparent in as far as we consider the framework within which our system of responsible government works, because we don't have we can say, superstructure system of responsible and hyper-rationalized cabinet. We have a very loose, very feeble framework within which the role of the president on the one side and the role of the parliament on the other, as well as the role of political parties represented in parliament, had the possibility to shape and play in a very, very large room. So the role of political parties and the role of the president can change, and so we can also have a different discretionary powers that play in the cabinet system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and which role play the different parties and the president in the situation we have today? So the president called for new elections, but not immediately, but only in February. So maybe you can explain to us what is the political situation in Italy in the moment, and what are the powers of a president that he can say we need new elections, but not now. Yeah. So this is a very difficult situation, I guess.
Yeah, we have to add to that. We have to add to another layer of complexity, because we have this very loose constitutional framework as regards the cabinet system. The role of the president that appoints the prime minister or the president of the council of ministers, our constitution say. And then there is also the role of the electoral law, because we don't have anybody anything else but only the electoral law that this determines which are the weight of the parties in parliament. And this electoral law was supposed to mimic the German one for the Bundestag, but it's not true. It's a quite pure, it's a mix of first past the post and a proportional one, but with effects, the proportional effects are the big part of the outcomes. So we have at least three big actors. The center right, that is still quarreling, because we have these at least three parties, and Berlusconi is the more European oriented among them. Then we have the Democratic Party that dropped to 17%, and probably the only effect of the general election was to punish the Democratic Party for the policies that he introduced. And then we have this strange movement. We say strange because they say they are not a party. They say they are neither a party nor a movement. They are a group of citizens. We don't want to use, for instance, they don't refer to themselves as the spokespersons or spokespeople in the chamber, but each member of the parliament is a citizen, they say. We know that in a representative system it's not true. So, and they have a very complex program where the different ideas merge. So which are the when you have three big polls, you have to try to find out the numbers for the motion of confidence. And the actor don't want to achieve a compromise, obtain it, because in the current Italian situation, the idea of negotiating, as you did for the new Grosse Coalition, is the idea of negotiating is betraying your electors. But sometimes you know that politics is also negotiation, and negotiation is relevant if you want not to match your own political interest, but the interest of the populace you are called to represent. Okay. So it's complicated now. New general election, probably. You told that the president gave a very strange path, a kind of, so that the neutral government, which is to say, I'm going to appoint someone who to lead to election. If this someone is able to find the votes for its own majority, well, we have a government, a cabinet. Probably during this period of neutral government, a new political majority can surface in the parliament. And he said, well, the alternative is to go to general election in July. So it didn't really tell which solution he preferred. Okay. It is a strange thing. It's kind to leave the burden of proof on the political parties.
Yeah, nevertheless, the political parties are the actors who have to vote for the new government. Either it doesn't depend whether it's neutral or not neutral, because you need the approval of the parties, don't you?
Yes, but neutral government, in the opinion of most of the representatives, is a kind of technocratic government. We also experience it. So the alternative we have some precedents in the 1960s. We were the so-called balnear cabinet, that is to say, cabinets were chaired by the president of the Senate, for instance, or the president of the House of Deputies, that is to say, an institutional protagonist of the political life is going to table the program before the houses to get censored and not to get the motion of confidence. So it's a kind of trick. We know that we will not succeed in having the majority, but it's going to lead a transition towards election. This is a kind of mechanism we have, because they don't want Gentiloni, the current prime minister, to hold the chair, because he will probably be the new candidate as a prime minister for the Democratic Party. So you have to find out a neutral prime minister, and the only one is to rely on one of the probably president of one of the chambers. One is of the center right and the other one is of the center left. Probably the president of the Senate, because she's a woman and should be the first woman in Italy, appointed as neutral prime minister, that is to say, this strange transitional government, and also from the Berlusconi's party and not from Lega Nord. That is to say, much more moderate actor in politics. It's a paradox, yeah, but we know that now Berlusconi is with the Democratic Party. They are the European-oriented party, moderate, center now. It's completely a paradox of the politics. We have one of the most peculiar characters of our politics turned into one of the most reliable. This is strange, but that's the reality.
So difficult situation. How do you assess the probability that this plan or this neutral government will really come into office? Because several parties like the Lega Nord, Cinque Stelle, already announced that they don't would support a new government, that they would like to vote immediately for a new government. So how dangerous are these threats to the new plan of a president?
Yeah, there is something that really is not clear to me in the situation. How is the president going to ascertain the lack of the president of the majority now? He said, it's up to you now. But he has to appoint the new prime minister. The real novelty is that he leave the floor to the parties. They have to find out the solution. But the only one who can really ascertain the possibility to have either a neutral government, transitional government, political government, or to go to fresh general election is the president. So he has to meet the party again in order to see that, have you found out something new? No. But this is, for me, this is the most critical part. I would have preferred that yesterday night the president have taken decision, dissolve the parliament, either to appoint the neutral government. Why we have to wait? This is the most critical. If you say there is a contradiction in this reasoning, because it's really, you have some relevant appointments with the EU now. It's better to have very early fresh general election rather than have to wait till October. It's true. If you need a government, and probably with the same electoral system, the vote can shift from a party to another, because probably some of the party will be punished for this, for lack of
and which party is going to be punished?
Probably
are people now maybe dissatisfied by the populist party because the populist party were not reliable anymore? Who do you have to vote for now if you want to have a reliable government?
Probably in absolute terms, the center-right coalition. They say that if you have a look to the polls, the center-right coalition would attain the 39-40% of the vote cast. That is to say, if you use the electoral law, the majority of the seats in the House, at least in the lower one, and it really change of state of mind. But we are so peculiar that we could also have the possibility to have a change now in a few hours and find out a solution. I don't really know how to. We are only reasoning on hypotheses. It's difficult.
So in this difficult situation, we have not only a difficult situation in Italy, but also a difficult situation in Europe. So we have many decisions on the table, actually.
Yeah.
And two questions maybe to that. What would be the position or the powers of the new government, new to government, to decide these decisions, or to get a position to these decisions in this summer? Because as you know, we have a European election coming up, and if we don't get the reform done before the election, there are no reforms coming. So therefore, we would need an Italian position. But how much is a new Italian government capable to get it to have a position on all these European reform projects?
Yeah, you need a strong political vision. And I think that in this period, Europe was not one of the most relevant topics and issues in our political arena. It should come back to the fore. The main big problem, I think, not only the reframing the EU, but we are debating now, discussing in the EU Parliament now of the reform of the CAP. And this really impacts on the population as part of our economy, agriculture. And if you don't have the possibility to represent the needs of Italy when they are framing the new regulations implementing agricultural policies, I think it's a problem. This lack of representativeness. But I think if we go to general election in July, you have all the time to September to have a new government, because you have 70 days. Then in 20 days you have to summon the houses, so to say, 8 July, the probable date, 28th of July, you tell that the houses, the election of both presidents, of the speakers of both houses, and you have time in August to have the new government. So for me, it's better either to have a political government or to go immediately to election to find out a new political party. What we need is a political action. So not to wait for a strange government to lead us to.
So a neutral government would not help Italy.
No,
in any way.
A neutral government doesn't have the confidence, doesn't represent any political program. The agenda, you can't set an agenda without the confidence of the parliament.
Okay, this is a clear opinion, I think. So I would like to end the interview. Thank you very much for telling us your opinion on the current situation in Italy. And thank you.
Thank you very much for your courtesy, and I hope that you are going to carry on doing such important thing for disseminating the EU spirit within Europe.